Good afternoon and welcome to the classes of 2020 and 2021 Graduate School Commencement Ceremony of Delaware Valley University. I'm Ben Rusolowski and I have the pleasure and privilege of serving Del Val as its Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of the Faculty. Please rise for the playing of our national anthem. Please be seated. Before we continue, it's a bit of a tradition here that Dr. Very and I make sure that you have a couple of keepsakes from commencement. On your way in today, you received a commemorative mask to help keep you safe from COVID-19 and an umbrella and sunscreen to keep you safe from the elements. The message, of course, is always to be prepared for whatever may lie ahead. We're not sure, however, that you need this advice. You have all shown resilience and determination in the past year as you played the hand that the pandemic dealt you. There is nothing in your future that you won't be able to tackle when you couple your Del Val education with your experiences of the past 14 months. You've got this today and moving forward, and we are all very proud of you. It is now my honor and pleasure to introduce Mr. Joseph Chip Krauskopf, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees of Delaware Valley University and the great-grandson of our founder, Rabbi Joseph Krauskopf.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. Wow, it is so great to be here. It is so great to be among friends and to be out in the public. Class of 2020, thank you for coming back. You know, you guys didn't have a great opportunity last year. It's wonderful you can be here now. And for the class of 2021, congratulations, and you did a heck of a job through a difficult time. So welcome to the graduate commencement exercises for the classes of 2020 and 2021 at Delaware Valley University. I would ask that you please join me, my board colleagues, and the entire faculty, staff, and administration of Delaware Valley University in being among the first to congratulate our graduate students. Today we assemble to celebrate your achievements as individuals and as classes. Your many accomplishments are indeed impressive. We also gather to wish you Godspeed as you go forth to join in the legions of Delaware Valley University alumnae and alumni who have gone before. You are adding to the university's reputation and fame. Delaware Valley University was founded upon the values of my great-grandfather, Rabbi Joseph Krauskopf, values that include honoring diversity and seeking knowledge. As we begin our 125th anniversary year, I ask each of you to take time to think about your own personal values. Seek to align your values in your personal lives and in the workplace. Both success and happiness come from living your values in every aspect of your life. Clearly, today is an important day in your lives. It is also an important day in the life of the university, and I want to take a moment to recognize and congratulate Dr. Maria Gallo for her recent appointment as Chancellor at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, starting in July. Dr. Gallo. During her 5 years of leadership at Delaware Valley University, Dr. Gallo created a comprehensive strategic plan and a new vision to be the leader in experiential education, empowering all learners to transform the world. A testament to that vision occurred when the university's experiential learning program, Experience 360, was honored with the 2019 Outstanding Experiential Education Program Award by the National Society of Experiential Education. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep, and I'm still in the wrong time zone, so be patient with me. Thank you. During her tenure, freshman fall retention rates significantly rose, and in the most recent career outcomes rate is the highest in the history of Del Val at 94.4%. Dr. Gallo has also helped the university thoughtfully expand its graduate programs, offering to include health sciences degree, which will support the increased need of leadership professionals with a master's degree in the expanding healthcare field. She has also made access and equity university-wide priorities. Dr. Gallo established the President's Commission on Diversity and Inclusion, as well as the Division of Campus Life and Inclusive Excellence. She has also served on numerous community, state, and national boards, thereby raising the profile of Delaware Valley University. The entire university community wishes Dr. Gallo the best for her continued success. It is now my privilege to introduce to you the 13th President of Delaware Valley University, Dr. Maria Gallo.
Well, thank you for those kind remarks, Chip. But we are here to honor you today. So members of Delaware Valley University's graduate program classes of 2020 and 2021, congratulations to each and every one of you. I know I speak for the entire university when I say how proud and happy we are to celebrate your achievements. In March 2020, all of our lives changed dramatically. When the pandemic hit, in-person teaching ended and the entire Del Val community worked together to quickly switch to remote learning. While most of our graduate programs have been delivered via remote learning for some time, we realize that many of you had additional stress to deal with during the pandemic. On top of wearing masks, adopting new safety protocols, and socially distancing, many of you worked full-time or had families at home, or both. The challenges of adapting to work from home, and in many cases, having your children with you during the school day, make your accomplishments in completing your degree even more impressive. I used to tell my own graduate students that completing your degree is not an indication solely of how intelligent you are, but of how bad you want it, how determined and driven you are to overcome all the obstacles that will certainly be placed in your way. And overcome them is exactly what you did. You made history. However, the pandemic has taken an enormous toll. We remember those who lost their lives to COVID-19 and those who suffered in countless ways. Yet, at the same time, we must acknowledge the human spirit that allows us to keep pushing forward despite the setbacks. Today is certainly a time to celebrate your spirit and the philosophy of science with practice that our founder, Rabbi Joseph Kraskoff, embraced 125 years ago. You exemplify the value of that effective approach to education. You are his legacy. He would be elated. Thank you so much for the honor of serving the university, and congratulations to each and every one of you. Go Aggies!
Thank you, Dr. Gallo. I now have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Seamus Mcgraw. Sheamus is an award-winning author and journalist. He is the author of A Thirsty Land, The Making of an American Water Crisis, the critically acclaimed The End of Country, Dispatches from the Frack Zone, and Betting the Farm on a Drought, Stories from the Front Line of Climate Change. He is also the author of Jack of Spades, The Very Last Will and Testament of Old Joe, a short story which is a work of fiction in which the main character decides to share his truth with his son at the end of his life. Mcgraw has also been a regular contributor to many publications, including the New York Times, HuffPost, Popular Mechanics, Reader's Digest, The Forward, and more. Sheamus has enriched the student experience at Delaware Valley University by serving as a speaker and panelist for events for many years. As a speaker, he has offered insight on pressing social and environmental issues. He has received the Freedom of Information Award from the Associated Press Managing Editors, the Golden Quill Award, as well as honors from the Casey Foundation and the Society of Professional Journalists. A father of four, he lives in the woods of northeastern Pennsylvania with his wife, Karen, and his children. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Seamus Mcgraw.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Dr. Gallo, and thank all of you for allowing me to come here today. I would like to tip my hat to all of you for your accomplishment, but I can't because it's not my hat. This is a borrowed cap and a borrowed gown I'm wearing today. The achievement they symbolize are, for me, only honorary. Gratefully and humbly received, but really, I haven't earned them. But you have. Each and every one of you. Through diligence and hard work, through your own dedication and drive, guided by the talent and experience and the creativity of your professors and teachers, every one of you sitting here today has already achieved more in your lives, more greater academic distinction than I ever have. And I am proud to be here with you today to celebrate your achievements. Now, it's a safe bet that this is not the first time you've been asked to sit quietly and politely and listen while an old white guy who has less of a right to be here than any single one of you do prattles on about what you ought to do and how you ought to do it. It's an ironclad guarantee that it won't be the last time. Since the beginning of time, it's been an immutable law of the universe that those of us who made the mess get to lecture those of you who have to clean it up. We get to tell you how to fix what we broke, even if we don't have a clue. I didn't make the rules. Then again, maybe I did. Or maybe guys just like me did, and maybe it's time those rules changed. Maybe what I need to do today is not lecture you, but first apologize to you. Other graduating classes in the history of this university have been tasked with going out into the world to contend with grave crises, world wars and depressions, social upheaval and deep divisions, and a culture that seems to revel in pitting us one against the other. This university was founded in challenging times, and it has evolved and grown in response to all the challenging times since. But this is a unique era you are graduating into. And you are in many ways being asked to face all the challenges that all the classes that came before you faced, but to face them all at once. Unrest and conflict, a planet wounded by the profligacy and thoughtlessness of the generations that came before you, one existential crisis stacked upon another, made worse by the lingering effects of a terrible, deadly global pandemic that has upended the flawed systems that we, those of us who left this mess, helped create. On behalf of everyone born in the years immediately after World War II, let me sincerely and humbly apologize. Now, to the youngest among you, let me tell you something that many people from my generation won't. I trust you. I believe in you. I've been making trips to this remarkable university for about a decade now, and I've always found this place inspiring. I love what it was founded to be, and I love what it has become. More importantly, I love what you and the other scholars and leaders this school has produced have become. I've had the opportunity to meet some of you over the years, and I can tell you without reservation or fear of contradiction that in every encounter, I've come away with a sense of awe, a sense of respect, and above all, a sense of relief. I've spoken at plenty of universities, some with long legacies and prestigious names, but none of them have impressed me as much as this place has. Nothing has made me more confident that we will, that you will, find a way forward than has the time I've gotten to spend here with you. And yet, it's the price I pay for this borrowed gown and a perk of my gray beard that I'm expected to give you some words of advice. I'm supposed to act as if there's something worth considering inside this bald head of mine, and you're constrained by tradition to believe that there is too. Let's not, shall we? I don't have any practical advice to give you. I'm not a biologist or an agricultural researcher who can point toward a way to ease suffering and end hunger. I'm not a social scientist who can sketch out a future where our divisions are not so great or so confounding. I'm not a scholar of any sort. As those of you who know me know well, I'm just a storyteller. And so all I can offer you today is a story. It's kind of a shaggy dog story. You see, a few weeks ago, while my old English bulldog, Boudica, was napping on the deck of my remote home in the woods in the far northeast corner of this state, one of our neighbors, in the middle of the day, decided to exercise his inalienable right to do whatever the hell he wanted, whenever the hell he wanted to, and he set off a deafening barrage of fireworks. Now, some of you have met Boudica. She's joined me here from time to time, and you know that she has a gentle spirit, friendly but timid. The fireworks terrified her, and before we knew she was missing, she lit off over the mountain and vanished into thousands upon thousands of acres of forest that surround us. She was gone, without a trace. For 5 years, that dog had been my constant companion, always at my side. Indeed, before the pandemic bequeathed me a house full of people, she was often my only companion. And so my wife, my children, and I began a frantic and far-flung search for her. We did all the things we were supposed to do. We flooded social media, and we tacked up literally thousands of signs and posters. Old friends and new ones made in the moment selflessly volunteered to join us as we scoured the deep woods. Those woods are full of hazards. It was coyote mating season, a time when coyotes become particularly aggressive and dangerous. I shuddered when I thought of what they might do to my best friend. There were other mortal dangers as well. Those woods are full of bears, ravenous after just waking up from their winter slumber. The creeks that bore through those mountains were full and raging and all but impassable that time of year. And there are, at various points deep in the forest, sudden drop-offs and sheer cliffs that can, without warning, cause a lost soul to be lost forever. Remember, these are the very woods where, just a few years ago, 1,000 cops spent nearly a month searching for a fugitive cop killer. Now I was searching. And on my journeys, I found something I hadn't been looking for. I found a sense of real community. I found hope. Complete and total strangers dropped what they were doing and joined the search. At one point, while stumbling into a hollow where I had never been before, I came across a shanty, an off-the-grid compound, really, guarded by fierce-looking dogs, bedecked with flags and banners that bespoke a world view that was entirely different than my own. A woman, hard-looking, appearing far older than she probably was, eyed me suspiciously. Under any other circumstances, this woman would have viewed me as at least a threat and probably an enemy. Such are the times we live in. Such are the times we're asking you to navigate for us. But under these circumstances, she softened. She choked up, actually, when she told me about 2 terrible weeks a few years ago when one of her beloved dogs went missing, and she promised to do everything she could to help me find Boudica. Episodes like that were repeated again and again and again over the next 2 weeks. The search for Boudica became a community effort. I'm not exaggerating when I say that literally hundreds of people participated to some degree in the actual search, doing what they could. And thousands, at least 2,000 that I know of, followed every post on Facebook and Twitter. These were people still under partial lockdown due to the deadly pandemic that was still raging in our corner of the state. These were people who came from every social and ethnic background you could imagine, from every race represented there, from all sides of the cultural fractures. And yet this search drew them together, and it held them together. She'd been missing for 5 days when we got our first reported sighting at an all but abandoned old honeymoon resort about 8 miles northeast of us along a busy U.S. highway. By the time we got there, of course, she was gone. It was another week before another report came in, and then another and another and another, all of them 10 miles southwest of us inside a lake community. Again, another community rallied behind us in our search. Strangers let me park my car overnight in their driveway so I could sleep for a few hours at a time while continuing the search. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd hear from people who couldn't sleep themselves and decided to go out and take a quick look for Bo. When I traced Boudica's travels on a map, it occurred to me that she appeared to be making a gigantic circle, 20 miles across, with our home, her home, smack dab in the middle. Her homing instincts had kicked in, I thought, but so too probably had her survival instincts. It now became a race between those two instincts, one of which might lead her home, the other might lead her into even more danger. There would be false alarms, several of them, sightings of dogs that looked vaguely like Boudica, and I was starting to fear that maybe we had been running after the wrong dog all along. It'd be another 4 days before we got the next reliable sighting of her. A guy who lived more than 100 miles away in South Jersey had been reviewing the security camera at his weekend home at the lake when he spotted a dog that looked to him a lot like Boudica. He called me. To tell you the truth, I had all but given up hope by that point, convinced that despite the efforts of all the strangers and my own, Boudica was likely to be lost forever. I asked him to send me a picture and a video. He did. And it was indeed Boudica. There was no mistaking her. I rushed to the house, and sure enough, I found a track, just one. It had rained the night before, and in the fresh mud, I found one of Boudica's distinctive split-toe paw marks with a telltale long curved claw on the outside of her right paw. I tried to suss out what direction she had headed and clawed my way up through a pile of scree when I saw an older woman playing with what appeared to be her grandson. I called to her from the woods. I startled her. "I'm afraid," she said in an Eastern European accent that I couldn't quite place. "Go away or I'll call the police." I tried to explain that I was looking for my dog, that I meant her no harm, but I could see that I was only agitating her further, and so, as I would do later, I took off my hat and slowly backed away. I reached out to my wife and told her that she needed to contact the woman, that only a woman could ease her fears. Such are the times we live in. Such are the times we're asking you to navigate. For the next 4 hours, there were no more sightings, no signs of Boudica. And then, just as I was about to give up for the evening, I got a phone call from some other wonderful strangers, a retired couple from Long Island. "We have eyes on your dog," they told me. I raced to their location, right on the lakefront, just a few yards short of the spot where the stranger from South Jersey had videotaped her, and there she was. I took off my hat. I made myself small, sat down on the ground, and spoke softly to her. Her survival instincts had indeed kicked in. She huffed a warning at me, but didn't move. She simply stared at me with blank, dark, and empty eyes. Feral. She didn't recognize me. That broke my heart. We sat there for a full 5 minutes at least. And then something miraculous happened. The darkness vanished from her eyes. She recognized me and came bounding into my arms. There is one coda to this shaggy dog story. As I loaded Boudica into my car, my phone rang. It was the woman who had refused me access to her property earlier in the day. It had by then been explained to her that I meant no harm and that I had only been searching for my dog, and she apologized over and over again in halting, broken English. I told her there was no need to apologize, that I understood that I had frightened her, and that I was deeply, deeply sorry for that. I wanted to say more. I wanted to say that she had nothing to fear from me and had nothing to fear from her neighbors, that they were kind and selfless people who had gone to amazing lengths to aid and comfort a stranger. I wanted to tell her that maybe she too had found her way home. But I couldn't find the words. Maybe there are none. Maybe what I wanted to tell her can only really be expressed in deeds. And maybe that's what I want to tell you too. We're sending you out into the woods. There are great dangers out there. Trust your instincts and trust the way you've honed them during your time here in this special place. Draw your circles wide through the woods. And if and when you temporarily lose your way, as almost certainly you will for a time, trust that there are countless people out there, strangers with great hearts, who will help you find your way back home. Because for all of our differences, for all our false divisions and arbitrary distinctions, that's who we really are. Strangers with great hearts. It's time. Go. Get lost. Because the sooner you get lost, the sooner you'll find a way home for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Seamus, for your inspirational message. We now have reached the moment you have all been waiting for, the conferral of your hard-earned degrees. It is now time for the graduates from the classes of 2020 and 2021 to come forth and be recognized. As your name is called by Dr. Wisnicki, please come across the stage to receive your diploma cover. You will then pose where indicated for your photo. It is my pleasure to introduce Dean John Wisnicki, who will present the degree candidates from the School of Graduate and Professional Studies.
Thank you, Dr. Rusolowski. President Gallo, members of the Board of Trustees, and honored guests, I now have the privilege of announcing the degree candidates from the School of Graduate and Continuing Studies. First, the candidates for the Doctorate of Education will come forward. Dr. Todd Fay, the program director, will hood these candidates. Selma Youssef Jahari Abidar. Dissertation, Lived Experiences of Saudi Arabian International Students who graduated from Abidar, one 4-year private higher educational institution, a phenomenological study. Amal Awadallah, examining the relationship between K-2 teacher content knowledge of basic language constructs, implementation of evidence-based reading instructional practices, and student reading achievement. Robert P. Bowder, Pennsylvania Teachers Level 2 Credit Requirements and its Effects on Classroom Instruction, a Mixed Method Study. Lynn Chromiak, a Mixed Method Study of the Alignment of Principal Standards, Preparation, and Practice of Novice Principals and Assistant Principals in Pennsylvania. Beth DeLay, middle school counselors' experiences helping digital natives from problem to solution with regard to social media use. Mary Elizabeth Tizol Dora, associate degree nursing students' perceptions of effective clinical teaching behaviors that promote clinical self-confidence in the acute care clinical learning environment. Richard Harris Hartwell, assessing data quality in higher education, a study of information management practice. Philip A. Yanuzzi, Jr., a phenomenological study of the importance, value, and need for leadership development training for academic department chairs. Marcia Klaas, the impact of a Tier 2 mentoring intervention program on at-risk students, a mixed method study. Alexandra Lazovich, job satisfaction of international faculty in independent schools, a correlational study. Anne Marie Lucas, student mental health issues and mental health services in schools, perceptions of K-12 teachers. Mary Ellen Sweeney Messina, the physical, social, emotional, and academic dimensions of school climate, multi-case study of 2 suburban middle schools. Joshua Philip Miller. The efficacy of coordinated services across early childhood systems in contributing to thriving children and families, perceptions of key stakeholders in one Pennsylvania county. Chrislyn Renee Alfalt. Special education teachers' instructional practices and perceptions of student outcomes using action sensory rooms in an elementary setting. Michael Peck. Leadership in the learning-centered paradigm, an exploratory qualitative study. Jacqueline Rose Royer, finding the nexus between a predictive mathematics assessment and a national standardized mathematics assessment in an elementary school. Sally Josephine Saragusa, the non-traditional superintendent, Pennsylvania School Board Director and Superintendent Perceptions of hiring a superintendent with a commission qualification letter. April Silimperi, Grammar Time, a quantitative study of a guided apprenticeship instructional approach to teaching grammar. Gary Raymond Snyder, a mixed method study of high school teachers' perceptions of the relationship between 21st century pedagogy and school design. Todd C. Van Nortwick, effects of the 7 habits on elementary principals leadership in Leader in Me schools, a mixed method study. Joseph J. Yannick, Digital Badges, a study of K-12 educators' degree of exposure to 21st century skills developed through micro-credentials. This concludes the doctoral graduates. We will now announce the master's degree candidates from the School of Graduate and Continuing Studies. The following students are receiving their Masters of Arts in Counseling Psychology. Dr. Audrey Irvin, Director. Brendan Barca. Lindsay Nicole Boyle. Meg Clausen. Catherine Lynn Corcoran. Lindsay Nicole Gemin. Molly Ling George. Hannah Elizabeth Griffin. Alyssa Horn. Nicole Hudson. Andrea Kirsch. Genevieve Newman. Madeline Riley. Victoria Shad. Nicole E. Schultz. Emily Nicole Sjogren. Jillian Lynn Sullivan. Alexis Viola. The following students are receiving their Master of Arts in Criminal Justice. Dr. Allison Keene, Director. Patrick Gillespie. The following students are receiving their Master of Public Policy. Dr. Tanya Casas, Director. Christopher Earl Handy. Sahara Matiri. Victoria Prendergast. Daniela Ray. Ellen Robinson. Lindsay Troyer. Ashley Velez. The following students are receiving their Master of Science in Educational Leadership. Dr. Todd Fay, Director. Chloe Elizabeth Harding. Barry Sayas. Lindsay Tobe. The following students are receiving their Master of Science in Special Education. Dr. Todd Fay, Director. Kimmel Nasowitz. Jessica Orenstein. The following students are receiving their Master of Science in Teaching and Learning. Dr. Todd Fay, Director. Nicole Danielle Walker. Emily Ann Wilmot. The following students are receiving their Masters in Business Administration. Dr. Christy Ringen, Director. Emily Florence Adams. Thomasina L. Cook. Mark A. DeJesse, Jr. Adriana DeCenso. Rihanna M. Doyle. Kanaki Kalikova. Morgan Crick. Anna Marie Lubas. Alexis Martin. Amanda McKeegan. Olga Tolkach. Elizabeth A. Odorosio. Angeline Marie Pasacantando. Mary Peischel. Jake Liam Ryan. Victoria J. Ryan. Nicole Marie Smythe. Michael Mullen. Sean Souza. Jamie Lynn Stefani. Douglas Allen Torp. Jack Everett Tudesco. Calliope Vaparakis. Victoria Kincaid Walter. Michelle Webb. Rebecca Williams. Zachary Segura. Molly Arana. Hannah K. Feldstein. George R. Lewis. This concludes the graduates from the School of Graduate and Professional Studies.
President Gallo, these students have completed all their degree requirements and have been approved and recommended by the faculty and Board of Trustees to be awarded their degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Rusolowski. By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and as president of Delaware Valley University, I am proud to confer upon each of you the various degrees for which you are qualified with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
Thank you, President Gallo. Graduates, now that President Gallo has conferred your degrees upon you, please move your tassels from the right side to the left side of your caps. For those who can. It's my pleasure to present to all of you the Delaware Valley University graduates from the classes of 2020 and 2021. Congratulations to each of you. The university is very proud of you on becoming our newest alumnae and alumni. Graduates, reaching this milestone is possible because of your hard work and sacrifice. We don't walk life's path alone, however. Your families and friends have supported you every step of the way. Some of them are here with us today. Please join me in extending our appreciation to them. Just like your family and friends, your professors, the Del Val faculty, as well as our staff helped you reach this pinnacle. Please join me in expressing our appreciation to them for their instruction, their mentorship, and their commitment to your success. Lastly, I thank everyone from across campus who came together to make this weekend possible. A special thank you goes out to Andrew Moyer, who led our commencement planning and implementation efforts. Congratulations again to our newest alumni from the classes of 2020 and 2021. Will you please stand now for the Alma Mater, sung by the Delaware Valley University Chorale and directed by Dr. Marie Tavianini.
We
This concludes our ceremony. Please remain standing for the recessional and remain at your place until the platform party and graduates have recessed. Congratulations again to everyone.